Welcome back to Second Breakfast and our ongoing film discussions, bringing you the best thoughts, theories, and literary analysis this side of San Francisco.
That's where it's going to be, yeah.
We're going to have some fun today. So usually we talk about movies we love or books we love or works of art that inspire us, and we're letting our hair down a little bit because these three movies that we're talking about in this episode are not so easily defined. The Venom movies are not good, they're not bad. They're fun.
They sure are.
I think in that way, they're almost unique in the current climate of films. Because looking up their budgets, looking up their box office grosses, these are $100 million B movies.
Crazy.
And I think they are not as good as this. They are not on this level. But I think you could argue they are descendants of the Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell school.
Sure.
Of campy B movie.
Oh, yeah, I could certainly see that, yeah.
And easily, you could give Sam Raimi one of these movies and make the greatest superhero film of all time.
Can you imagine if they had given this to Sam Raimi? I think this would have been so much fun. I'm actually really upset right now that you've mentioned that didn't happen.
And fun is the word here, because the Venom films are gleefully dumb. They are psychosexual misadventures with banter and camp and sick-ass visuals. It is arguably, because we'll talk about the third one, a dependable franchise.
Sure.
There is, at least in the writing, a consistent creative team, which is rare in the superhero space. I was
going to say, yeah, that's true.
Even more rare, a good release schedule.
Sure.
3 movies. We're talking about this whole trilogy. They've come out like clockwork every 3 years.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I admire this franchise. I have loved Venom forever. The character design, the comics, obviously the coolest shit in the world. I've always loved Venom. And these films, we watched both movies before the third one came out. This has been a whole week of Venom for us. We have laughed at, we have laughed with, rolled our eyes through all 3 of these films. I enjoy them. I have a great time with them, especially watching them with Maggie.
Sure.
They are big, dumb fun, and we're going to break them all down individually.
I also want to level with y'all. Sometimes we batch record our episodes. This is the 4th episode we've recorded today. So this one might be a little wackadoo, but I think we did this well, and I'm glad this is our 4th one because I think it suits the tone of these movies.
There's a reason I organized them this way.
We didn't end with our Faustus theories and that kind of thing.
We've never done this many in one day. So yes, let's hope things get a little loopy.
I'm excited.
So we begin in 2018 with Venom coming in at 1 hour.
1 hour. See,
I
already
told you,
we're on a roll.
Dumb as shit.
1 hour.
1 hour and 52 minutes. Now, Meg and I had thoughts throughout these films, so I've kind of shorthanded them here, but feel free to bob and weave.
Okay, you got it.
Let's start with the casting.
Oh.
A wild, total lack of chemistry between Tom Hardy and Michelle Williams, which in every single scene of the film is dramatically outshined by the chemistry that Tom Hardy has with himself.
Well, exactly. It's like it's Michelle Williams wearing maybe the worst wig I've ever seen. For inexplicably, she has blonde hair. I've seen it in many other movies. I don't know why they gave her this horrible wig. I'm confused by that. But yeah, there is not a single, which is crazy because Tom Hardy's one of the handsomest people in the entire world. How does anybody not have chemistry with him? How are you not just like swooning? She's just this cold, weird character and there's nothing going on. And yet he's over there having the time of his life with him and himself and Venom and all that. It's great.
The backbone of this series is Tom Hardy on screen alone, arguing with himself. And I love
that's when
that.
it's at its best. These movies are the best when it's just Tom talking to himself.
Yes, there's a level of singular performance in these films that is genuinely incredible.
It really
impressive.
is. Yeah.
The entire franchise is on this one guy's back, just riffing alone. It's incredibly difficult, incredibly impressive work. And I saw an interview with him the other day talking about how he comes up with voices. Obviously, he's got the distinctive Bane voice. He was talking about that whole process.
Yeah.
The voice for Venom is the voice he uses when he talks to his dog.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
So we have a whole trilogy of films based on the guy and the voice he has when he talks to his dog. And
isn't that sweet?
It's great.
That's really, really funny.
It's always fun.
I like that. I'm also like thinking, that must be really hard because, I'm sure there's somebody off screen, prompting the Venom lines to Tom, but still he knows that's not going to be the final performance. So he's got to react to that on screen. And then when he's then recording the Venom lines, he has to react to himself. Like, it's got to be really challenging.
Yes.
I love that.
It's genuinely a great performance.
It's very good.
Back to the casting, though.
Sure.
A tragic misuse in all 3 films of Reid Scott, from Veep who plays Dan.
Dan, and he also plays Dan here.
Yes, he's
Dan
another
and Dan.
he's another hapless Dan, but for his, I mean, he's incredible in Veep. He's
so
whip smart
funny.
and funny.
He's so funny.
And they, for a franchise that is known for its humor, Venom is all about the goofy interplay between Venom and Eddie.
And like Tom Hardy is very funny.
Somehow
What's
they
going
can't
on?
make Reid Scott funny.
They also made him not attractive, which is incredible because he's beautiful in Veep, and they made him just like
He's beautiful and hysterical, and he's neither
right.
of those things.
Yeah, it's like a different person. I think it's his evil twin or something. It doesn't seem like him. I'm very confused by that. And like, I think you would want him to be very attractive and charming and charismatic because
Romantic rival?
right? You want Tom Hardy to be jealous of him, and instead he's just jealous of him because he's dating Michelle Williams, whose character's name Anne. He's dating Anne, and you're like, what? I'm so confused by that. It's weird.
The third, or the final bit of casting we have to talk about here is the villain, whose name I've immediately forgotten, like flush in the toilet in my brain. The villain in the first Venom movie. I don't blame Riz Ahmed. I blame the casting director.
The guy in charge of the science thing?
Yes, the Life Foundation. Far and away the most wildly unbelievable, limp dick, miscast villain in a comic book movie ever.
It's pretty tough. We were saying the other day about a different show, or a different thing we were watching. We're so tired of the like making fun of Google and tech bros and young startup guys, and that's just what this guy is, and it's so dull and uninteresting, and he's giving the weirdest performance. It's tough.
I mean, those things deserve to be made fun of, but somehow every time a sitcom or a comedy steps up to the plate, it is the worst shit you've ever seen.
I'm so bored by it.
And
It's
that continues
so bad.
here.
Yeah.
But looking at this movie, it's an hour and 52 minutes, which is far too long for one of these. But the fascinating part is that there is maybe a full hour of preamble before the Venom drama starts.
The first movie takes way too long to get going.
But
It's tough.
Like, if you rewatch it, you might think, well, shit, I just want to see the Venom stuff. Maybe I'll fast forward through this. Why is there so much of it? And I'm sympathetic to that argument. But that first hour is so wildly fun and goofy because the operatic melodrama of the bad Elon Musk caricature and the Life Foundation.
Yeah.
Specifically, the scenes you get of Eddie as a reporter.
Oh, those are
with
great.
the little notebook.
I do really
discovering
enjoy
the homeless
those.
problem. Like,
it's so funny.
It's hysterical.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
is farcical. So I wouldn't, even though I prefer the Venom interaction that you get in the last half.
Of course.
I enjoy the first half for
Sure.
entirely different reasons.
It's just like a different movie, basically.
The motorcycle helmet,
Ugh.
them talking in the restaurant. It's just like two planks of wood communicating.
Oh, man. Painful.
But then when you do get to the superhero stuff, the visuals are sick as hell.
It gets so much fun.
The
yeah.
finale's great.
It's really, really good.
Venom, nothing looks cooler than Venom. With
No.
the teeth and the tongue and the eyes, it's just awesome.
No, it's fantastic. I love him trashing the apartment. I love the chickens thing, and like it's great.
It's wild.
The
first
scene with the
movie's wild.
lobsters, like one of the first scenes where he's in the restaurant with the lobsters. It's
He gets
so
in the tank.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's
Yes.
incredible.
So the first movie, an hour 52, is fun. Wild, weird, uneven, wacky, but fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
The second film, which I'd never seen before this rewatch, or preparing for the third movie.
Yeah, I'd never seen any of these before, by the way.
And
So this was my first time every time.
I really wanted to. I guess we were just busy when it came out. But this is Venom Let There Be Carnage, which came out in 2021 and is an hour and 37 minutes. So much shorter.
Really? It felt so long.
So yeah, I think we might have divergent opinions on this, but let's start with the thing that unites us.
Okay. Woody Harrelson?
Woody Harrelson understood the assignment.
I think Woody Harrelson is one of my favorite actors, period. Everything he's in, I love his performance in, whether that's like a serious, beautiful drama performance in something like True Detective, or, the 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri,
Hunger Games.
Right, but
this.
but then you get a little goofier with things like The Hunger Games, which still has some gravitas and seriousness, and then you get this, and boy, is he having the time of his life.
He's great in all of those things.
He's so good.
What he reminded me of in this, because this is a sequel and it's a Spider-Man adjacent franchise, he reminded me of Willem Dafoe.
Yes, I was gonna. Literally, I was thinking that he and Willem Dafoe are in the same category for me. Like, I really like both of them for their just weirdness and their ability to flip between different levels of seriousness, and they're both so funny, but also can be so heartbreaking.
It is an absolute and fearless dedication to the archetype. There is no shame. There are no pulled punches. They are living these characters and going for it and being as entertaining as humanly possible, as camp, as B-movie, as over the top. And the wig, that they put on Woody Harrelson should have won its own Best Supporting Oscar. It is such a delightful performance.
It maybe helps me understand Michelle Williams' wig a bit better because hers looks very normal next to his, but I don't know why they put her in a wig, but I get why they put Woody Harrelson in a wig. It's hilarious to me. My favorite part of it is that I'm sure, I don't know the comics, I'm guessing the character in the comics has red hair, and that's the point.
Yes.
But Woody Harrelson is not a young man in this movie. And if he's been, institutionalized his whole life, his hair would not be red anymore. It would be white. He would have gray, white hair. And they just so it looks like he's been dyeing it, but he wouldn't do that in prison. It's so funny.
In the same way they wouldn't do that in a comic. And that's the thing I really, really love about this movie. Like I said before, an hour and 37 minutes. This movie has great comic pacing. And I mean that in both ways. It's funny and it has great comedic timing.
Right.
But it also is the pacing of a great comic.
Sure.
It's shorter, it's tighter, it's faster. Almost immediately, if you compare it to the hour of preamble in the first Venom movie, almost immediately you get into conflict and combat and cool shit and great moments that look like panels. Andy Serkis directs the shit out of this movie.
I was gonna say, there's a lot of, it looks very comic-y. It looks like a comic in the shots that it has.
For me, Venom Let There Be Carnage is almost the platonic ideal of what a comic book movie should be. It is 90 minutes of smashing the action figures together, making shit look cool, and entertaining you.
Sure, yeah.
And
it's
when the
very
credits
fun.
come up, you have had a wonderful time. It is a roller coaster.
Yeah, I had a good time.
And for being a sequel, I think it's very impressive in that it avoids a lot of the pitfalls that doom most sequels and most comic book sequels, where there are minimal member berries.
That's true.
Way
That's
less
true.
of the callbacks and the cameos and all that shit that just drags down this type of film.
Yeah.
But there's also a really smart, we talked about this when we went through the Fantastic Beasts films, where it felt like every movie reflected on the previous film and tried to fix it and move forward in a better direction. What works, what doesn't, and ruthlessly recalibrating to play to those strengths.
Yeah, didn't always succeed in the Fantastic Beasts
didn't.
movies, but you could tell that was the goal, and that was interesting.
And I respect that. And I think this film does a similar thing where it really smartly avoids the pitfalls of other superhero sequels while doubling down on the things that work. And the thing that really shines through the first movie, the thing that makes the 2 hours of it work, is the banter between Eddie and Venom.
Yes.
And the second film is all about that relationship.
Right. And it takes, instead of having this, weak, uninteresting villain from the first movie, you switch to I almost said Willem Dafoe, Woody Harrelson, who is giving his all and giving an amazing performance.
And it's big and loud and red and gross and funny and bombastic. And the subtext of the first film, which we do get to play with here for a moment, is the increasingly loud homoerotic subtext. And the second film doubles down on this too, which is it's why it's so fun to watch. It's the almost explicit red meat they throw to shippers with this relationship between Eddie and Venom. It is so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it was funny when we were watching the first one, Cam, you told me there's a lot of, fandom interest in like the homoerotic relationship between Venom and Eddie. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, I don't see that at all. And then when we saw the second one, I was like, oh, I get it.
Well, when
very
you didn't
funny.
understand it for the first movie, I Googled it on my phone. And
I wasn't going to talk about that here.
I showed you some
I've seen some
inspired
images.
fan art
I've
of
seen
Eddie and Venom.
some things. It's a lot.
But
it's
the
a lot.
way the second movie plays with that relationship, you have a really good execution of the breakup between Eddie and Venom. And I think that works for the central drama of the piece, where you power down your hero while powering up the villain to the point where he has to fight him and he can't really be with Venom. And then they reunite in the final conflict.
Sure.
They come back together. They reconcile.
They're sitting on the
make up.
beach.
Yes, exactly.
Looking at the sunset. Yeah, it's
But
good.
we play through the pitfalls of that relationship really well. Whereas in most sitcoms, when the couple gets together, everything is boring.
Yes, true.
And I think
true.
we revel in the drama of the relationship in this second film. And again, variations on a theme here. Carnage looks sick as hell.
He looks very, very cool.
Dependably. Every time you see him, he looks awesome. And the finale is even much, much better than the first film.
Yeah.
That shot of Carnage backlit by the stained glass. Come
Oh,
on.
it's awesome. Yeah,
Come
the
on.
cathedral setting is pretty fun. Also, I don't know if there's like a cathedral motif in the comics, but when Carnage is introduced in Spider-Man 3, the Sam Raimi movies, they're also in a cathedral with Venom. So I think that's interesting. Not Carnage in the movies. I meant Venom.
Yeah, I know what you
But
mean.
yeah, there's a cathedral thing in there too.
Sure.
So I thought that was fun.
We do have to end with other casting stuff because continued miscasting of Michelle Williams, and even more tragically, a continued complete misuse of Reid Scott.
Oh yeah,
as Dan.
he's even worse in the second one.
It's tough.
And I'm like, what happened? This is like right during his Veep era.
I know you're funny. I know you're beautiful.
Yeah.
What are we doing
What's
here?
going on? I'm in like a simulation. It's so weird.
So then we fast forward 3 years to just a couple weeks ago now to Venom: The Last Stand, coming in at 1 hour and 49 minutes, which is basically the length of the first film.
Am I dumb? Did I think it was called The Last Dance?
Oh, it is called The Last Dance. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I wrote that down wrong.
Okay, great. I was like, am I just...
It's even stupider.
It's even dumber.
I think there was an X-Men movie called The Last Stand.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Don't ask me.
Anyway, Venom: The Last Dance. Here, I'll let you take the lead.
Well,
on this
you
one.
know, this one wasn't it for me. As I've been saying in this episode so far, I really enjoy the camp and goofiness and over the top and objectively bad writing of the first two. I really do. I think it's very fun and I like how goofy it is. This third one was something else. It was just a whole different level, and I was honestly very bored for most of the movie. And even though there was a lot going on screen, I was like, I am not interested in any of this. And I think it's because there is a little bit less Tom Hardy and Venom. There's a lot of more boring people doing science shit that nobody cares about. We're also in a desert for some reason. Why are we in Las Vegas? I don't understand the point of that. We didn't even utilize the Vegas setting. We were there for maybe 10 minutes. Mostly we were just in a desert. And then the ending did what the ending did, which was that weird...
Didn't end?
That weird nostalgic walk through New York City with the song playing.
That was
no,
great.
it wasn't.
The montage flashback of all of the Eddie and Venom scenes, most of which were from this film.
I was gonna say the ones we just saw.
That is the level of stupidity that we want from the Venom movies.
I suppose.
The problem is that it didn't end or resolve the central conflict while masquerading as the finale of a trilogy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, let me jump into this.
Oh, but sorry, quickly. Let me say the one thing I did like was the family, the hippie family with
Great. Yes.
Ray. What's his name?
Rice Ifans.
Thank you. Not Ray Fiennes. The other one
from House of the Dragon.
Yeah. He and his whole family, they were excellent. Loved them.
Yes.
But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and if the movie had been more road trippy like that with them, kind of fish out of water, would have been better.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of elements.
Too many movies.
There were too many things going on. And this is the problem that happens with a lot of third and fourth sequels.
Spider-Man 3.
In these superhero dynasties is they try to do 15 movies in one movie. And I'm
Dark
like,
Knight Rises.
Exactly. Bring it in. There, Spider-Man 3 is a great comparison. Just rein it in a little bit and we can have a good time. Yeah.
I think that's why Far From Home is so impressive. Because there's way too much shit going on, but it works.
Well,
there are 3 Spider-Men.
It works except for all the stuff with Doctor Strange. Even though that's required to have the multiverse stuff, I just vehemently hate Doctor Strange. I hate him as a concept. I hate what it's turned Benedict Cumberbatch into, because I think he's a fantastic actor and he's just been wasted for 20 years on whatever the fuck that is. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Venom: The Last Dance for me, and my thoughts kind of pulled together while I was doing these notes for this one, because when the lights came up at the end of the movie, you shrug, we smile at each other.
You're like, well, that was bad.
That was bad in the same way the other ones were bad, but it really wasn't. I think The Last Dance is far and away the worst and least charming of the 3 films. If you made a pie chart for all 3 of these movies, the first Venom's doing a lot of different things. The second one is really focused on the central conflict, but in that pie chart, 100% of the time, they are both fun.
Yes.
I found this movie rarely fun.
Yeah.
I thought the third one was frustrating and droll, and it seemed to actively backpedal from focusing on all the key strengths.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much time spent in this movie on new characters that go nowhere, whether it's military personnel or doctors who become other symbiotes, and so many people become different colors of Venom. It's boring. It's ugly. I mean, this first time the visuals do not look sick as hell.
There's also a joke about the multiverse in the first 2 minutes of the movie. Yeah. So I was like, oh, we're not in for a good time here.
I mean, I say all the different Venoms look like shit, but I think the movie is actually directed quite well. I really liked the way it was directed.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Maybe it's a CG complaint. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I just couldn't get past, all the other bad parts of the movie.
But the unforgivable sin for me here is the wild demotion, like you said before, of Eddie and Venom. Mm-hmm. At best, they are side characters. They genuinely, Eddie and Venom in this movie feel like interstitials. Like Scrat in Ice Age, where you get 20 minutes of the main plot, and then as a transition, you get this little sketch of Scrat chasing the acorn. That's where Eddie was in this. What the fuck?
So I was gonna say, when it was Eddie and Venom
It's
like
great.
doing their thing, very funny. Like the scene where he's trying to get into the casino, the guy pisses on his shoes. Like that's all really
Walking
good.
through the desert.
I mean, the thing on the horse was annoying, but like it was fine.
But when you just point a camera at Tom Hardy and let him argue with himself, it works.
Right. And so it's like they just kept throwing that in there because they're like, oh yeah, I guess we have to go back to Venom sometimes. But everything else, like them trying to set up the doctor whose twin brother died with lightning on the beach. I was like, who is this lady? I don't care about her. It was such a weird thing to introduce.
So here's the last segment here is all of these weird dangling plot threads. So, I mean, there's much less of the homoeroticism that made the first two so campy and fun.
Yeah, right.
There's no Michelle Williams, which is weird. If you're capping off a trilogy, how do you not resolve the central
She's
relationship?
not even mentioned. At no point is she even mentioned. I was like, what are we doing? This is like his whole like villain arc. That's how he becomes Venom. Like, what are we doing?
I feel like I missed a movie. I know I didn't, but I feel like I did because why was Reid Scott in the movie?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember all those weird cutaways to the shadowy silhouette of the military guy? That was Reid Scott.
Oh,
that was Dan.
I didn't realize.
That was Dan's voice.
I did not realize that.
I haven't looked it up, but I know that was his voice.
I so missed
that. And his
that.
profile, because he's got that skinny head. I know that was Dan.
Is that like a... Well, so then it seems like they're like setting up something that they're going to do with him and Michelle Williams later, but we know they're not. This is the end. This is the last dance.
You don't even have Anne there, and Dan is just in a completely different job, but we also don't explain that or play with it or make him a villain.
Was there like a fucking, end credits scene after Venom 2 that we missed that's essential to understanding
that doesn't
the
make
multiverse?
That doesn't answer the question. Like,
no, it doesn't.
This was not the finale to a trilogy, and I think the cherry on top here, because I do know the comics. Mm-hmm. Not encyclopedically, but plenty. Yeah. And one of my favorite runs to follow month to month that I've mentioned before is the Venom run from Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman. It's one of my very favorite comic runs. And the chief invention of that run was Knull. Mm-hmm. The bad guy who's introduced in this film. And we keep getting these cutaways to him in this prison. He's got this long hair, this great Andy Serkis voice, and the big-ass sword.
I didn't know what that was or what we're doing with that.
The whole arc of the Donny Cates Ryan Stegman run is introducing Venom, leading to Venom. We're talking about him as like the god of the symbiotes.
Oh, okay.
So there's all of this... There's this great rising action and dread that you get where these freaky characters show up. There's the thing with the Codex that's in the comics too. And there's this line that people keep saying of God is coming. Oh. And there's this idea of Knull making this like long death march across the universe to come get Venom.
Cool.
And then that whole run ends in this blowout massive miniseries called King in Black. And it's Venom like fighting Knull and defeating Knull but getting this huge ass fucking axe. And it is big, bombastic, awesome. Cool. It's just like the most fun popcorn comic. It's great. So in Venom The Last Dance, when you see all these trailers and I see, oh shit, that's Knull on the screen. They're doing this. I see on Twitter that they have Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman at least as like consultants, or they talk to him or something. Mm-hmm. There's some sort of involvement.
Yeah. I
go into the movie expecting that to be the main conflict. And instead... we fuck around in Area 51 for 2 hours, and we just drink more Ovaltine, tease Knull in the same chair 3 times, and nothing happens, while billing this as the finale in the end of a trilogy. It's not even a part 1. It is woefully incomplete, and Tom Hardy's spending the whole press tour saying, I'm not doing any more Venom movies. Maybe that means he shows up in a Spider-Man movie. Maybe they work together on Knull in the next movie.
Okay.
But this is the Venom series... and you market the movie with Knull, and he should... Knull is the equivalent of a post-credit scene, but we just watch it 3 times during the movie.
It's very, very weird.
There's no resolution. This movie is so incomplete and bad and such a step back that it stops this from feeling like a trilogy or a whole.
No.
And we know there's not more... so why are we ending on this wet fart?
So that we'll watch the next Spider-Man movie, which is a continuation.
I was going to do that anyway.
I know. And this is the one of the big problems I have with the Marvel movies is they don't just let the movies be their own thing. It all has to connect in the MCU. It all has to come together, and you have to watch the end credit scene so you know what the next Marvel movie is going to be. It feels so weird and manipulative and
But
like
then tell us that.
corporatized and like just like don't make it a trilogy if it's not a trilogy. Like just let things be their own things. Let them, and because I like that the first two Venom movies have a really distinct style and feel and arc that is like separate from the MCU. And like they're their own thing, and you go into it. Most people go into it knowing that Venom is a Spider-Man villain, so you wonder, oh, is there going to be crossover? Like, what's going on? But you're also just enjoying the Venom stories on their own and letting them exist as their own thing. It's really frustrating to have like multiple sequences in your final movie where you're just trying to tease, oh, there's going to be more movies after this. They're just not part of this trilogy.
But also, there's a way to do that. There's a way to hand off to make it satisfying of, oh shit, now I'm excited for the next Spider-Man. You can do that at the end where you pay Tom Holland to be in one scene of the movie and you set up, oh shit, this is the last Venom movie, but now he's going to show up as an anti-hero, sidekicky kind of thing in the next Spider-Man, and they're going to fight Knull together. And it's going to be a big-ass budget, and it's going to be a huge cinematic event, and great for Tom Hardy. And yes, I would love Spider-Man Venom in the same way we just got Deadpool Wolverine. That's fine.
Right.
And Tom Hardy can more than handle that mega spotlight.
Sure.
I think he'd be fantastic there. And I love that the whole arc of this movie is killing that weird bug thing that buzzsaws people in its mouth. And that is supposed to be this like hunter who works for Knull, this kind of herald of Knull.
Okay.
The fact that it takes Venom a whole movie to kill that one, advanced century guard for this big bad makes Knull seem like an impossibly large villain.
Sure.
If his henchman took a movie to kill one of his henchmen.
Right.
I like that. I think that's fun. If you have a bunch of these movies, fine. That makes Knull seem big and bad. But you have to do the James Bond will return at the end of the movie and say,
sure,
hey, next year there's going to be a Spider-Man movie. It's him and it's Venom and they're going up against Knull. And now we're going to get the huge finale that we just built to. We get none of that. We get none of the build.
Yeah. It's tough. And then if you're not a big comics fan, you don't know who Knull is, like me. I'm just sitting there thinking, why is the Necromancer from Diablo 3 in every other scene? And what is he doing here? And it's never explained. It doesn't make any sense. And you're just like, okay, what is that?
You know that wild frustration and sense of incomplete storytelling you got at the end of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1?
Yep.
At least they told you it was part 1.
At least
they
you
didn't
knew.
tell you this
Okay,
is the
there's gonna
finale
be
of a
another
trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't adequately even set up a next chapter in whatever form it takes.
You're just like, maybe you're just kind of sitting there thinking, I hope they make something else because I'm confused right now.
The first Venom is a really fun mess of an origin story. It's incredibly fun, popcorn, great movie to watch with friends or partners.
I recommend
Buy some
it.
pizzas, drink, you'll have a great time. Venom Let There Be Carnage, I will defend all day as a genuinely great superhero movie.
It was fun. It was really bad in a fun way. I really enjoyed it.
It's excellent, top tier B movie fun.
Yeah.
Third movie's a fucking mess.
Don't even, you do not need to bother.
And I say this as someone who loves Venom, who loves everyone involved, cast and crew. This is not a personalized attack. I love everything about this. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I just wanted to have fun. And yes,
it was tough.
There are glimpses of fun. Him in the casino is fun. Okay. Him with the set piece at the beginning where you attack all the bad guys with the dogs. That's fun.
I did not like the dance sequence with Mrs. Chang or Mrs. Chen and and Venom. That was bad. That was very bad.
Yeah, there was just I don't know.
Yeah,
just a bit of a drop ball here.
It was tough.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it.
But yes, I would love for there to be more here.
Yeah.
I want him to be in a Spider-Man thing.
Yeah, I don't know how they would bring Venom back because the whole point is that he died. But
not to jump into a different discussion here, but that is absolutely not where Spider-Man is right now.
What do you mean?
He does not need another intergalactic villain and team-up movie right now.
No, he doesn't.
He needs a street-level meat and potatoes story, maybe with a Daredevil team-up.
Sure, right. But the whole point, the setup at the end of Spider-Man 3, the Tom Holland Spider-Man 3, is he has to, reintroduce himself to Mary Jane and his friends
Has
and all
no
that.
money in an apartment.
Yeah.
This is poor, very grounded Peter Parker.
Yeah, this is Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2.
That is the opposite of goofy B-movie Venom and Knull stomping across the universe.
Yeah, right. So what's going on there? Yeah. I'm confused.
If you want even more superhero discussions from us, because we do enjoy these, we have a series of bonus episodes over on Patreon called The Breakfast Buffet. And in the past couple months, we've gotten into superhero movies. Now that the MCU is not cool, for some reason it's appealing
now
to us.
we're here. Yeah. I still have a lot of problems with it, but yeah.
And we've done a series that I think has been really fun over there. We did did an episode of the Breakfast Buffet going through the entire Deadpool trilogy.
That was really fun.
Including the new one right after.
Yeah, kind of like this.
Yes, kind of like this.
Mm-hmm.
We also did an episode going through the entire Tobey Maguire trilogy.
Yes, and I had never seen those before until a few months ago.
In the theater.
So that was, we saw them in theater. So that was really fun.
We did another bonus episode going through the entire trilogy of the Tom Holland movies, and we'd never seen those before either.
Yes, and they surprised me quite a lot.
Those were fantastic conversations. I really loved having those. So those are all available over on the Patreon, $2 a month. You can support the show and get way more of us talking. We've piled up episodes over multiple years over there. Thank you very much for joining us for this discussion of the Venom movies. And we'll be back here on Friday with another brand new episode.